Okay, sir. A very good evening to all. I am Dr. Lakshmi, RB from the GIBS team, GIBS B School. Today, we are all connected here to be a part of IRE talks that GIBS organizes every week by inviting the speakers across the country and the world to inspire the participants and deliver sessions related to innovation, research, and entrepreneurship. So GIBS always bring impartation topics that are beneficial to the students and faculty fraternity and as well as corporate professionals. As per the Economic Survey 2022, it says that 14,000 new startups are being recognized in India, and up to 20 times increase in the same can be seen for the next 5 years. The ongoing initiative is certainly is developing more entrepreneurship in India, and the government has taken several measures to support the same. The objective is to boost the startup culture and create an environment for entrepreneurs in India. As we all know that we need more entrepreneurs to boost up the economy. With this regards, we have a great topic to learn from the great entrepreneur himself, Professor Dr.Kabaly Subramanian, sir. He will help us to understand the startups ecosystem. So he is a faculty at Arab Open University, Muscat, Oman, and a business strategy trainer, a researcher, consultant, and coach to a distinguished audience. This is a short brief about sir. And sir, thank you for accepting our invitation. And this is our 437th talk as a part of IRE talk series. And I welcome all the participants on behalf of GIBS for the IRE talk series. And please allow me to speak a few words about GIBS. Global Institute of Business Studies is a place where talents are nurtured, ambitions cherished, ideas shared, and dreams fulfilled. GIBS Business School is a part of Goel Educational Trust, which is an exclusive business school based in Bangalore, Karnataka. GIBS Business School provides an AICTE approved PGDM program and BBA from Bangalore University. To prepare its students for success, GIBS has designed Industry 4.0 curriculum and has introduced a number of unique programs for students like Innovation, Research, and Entrepreneurship School and Program, Finishing School, Sports Management Certification Program, and Business Mastery Program, and much more. I would like to extend a very warm greeting to Dr. Kabaly P. Subramanian, sir, the resource person of today's IRE talks. Sir, we are grateful that you have accepted our invitation. I would repeat again, thank you so much for being a keynote speaker for this webinar. And let me take this opportunity to introduce sir to the audience. Dr. Kabaly P. Subramanian is a business researcher and has interest in business strategy, business innovation, and digital leadership and transformation of businesses. He's an editor and is an editorial board member at various academic journals. He has published several articles in reputed journal and has co-edited several books. And recently, he has also co-edited and published a book called as Co-Creating the Post-COVID-19 World, Exploring Sustainable Paths. And he has also published few chapters, and he's a founder of International Theory Building Research Forum to promote theory building research in Asia. He is carrying out several research projects currently, and he's a corporate advisor, strategic advisor to a UAE-based startup, and sir does a lot of things with the startups. He's also a chief mentor for budding startups, both in UAE as well as in India. The profile is really huge, and I cannot really cover it up in a short span. He himself, who is a startup guru and also a mentor, it's very fortunate for us to learn from him. I welcome you again to the session, sir. Over to you, and we can take up the questions at the last. I would request all the participants to put your questions in the chat box. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Lakshmi. Wonderful. You are very kind in introducing me to the audience. Always it is pleasure to share some of my research, my understanding, my experience with my fellow Indian entrepreneurs, students, faculty members. It's always my pleasure. When Dr. Lakshmi extended her invitation to be one of the speakers in the IRE talks, I really liked the whole platform, the whole idea of IRE talks, which talks about innovation, research, and entrepreneurship. Then I was just thinking for a while, what should I talk? And very interestingly, I'm cognizant of, I'm talking to members who are mostly from Bangalore, and Bangalore is one of the hotbed of startup ecosystem in the world. So what I'm going to talk to you. So I thought that, okay, so why I've given that startup ecosystem, the very idea of IRE talks or initiatives like IRE talks is building a startup ecosystem within a business school. So that I really like that idea of IRE talks, and that's why I said, okay, let me share some of my thoughts with you all in startup ecosystem. And secondly, the reason number 2 for choosing this topic as introduced by Dr. Lakshmi, I am part of startup ecosystem in different parts of the world. In India, I am part of a Native Lead Foundation, which is trying to develop startup ecosystem in tier 2, tier 3 cities in India, particularly Tamil Nadu. I am also part of Founders Institute, Ahmedabad, as a mentor, and also part of Crescent Innovation Incubation Council. This is in the India side. And to be connected with the academia, I am part of Manonmaniyam Sundaranar University, which is a state-run university in Tamil Nadu. We are developing in South Tamil Nadu an entrepreneurial and startup ecosystem. So these are some of my interventions or my association with startup ecosystem in India. Then coming to Gulf region, I am part of Gulf startup ecosystem in Oman as well as in UAE. In UAE particularly, I am advising a startup called Veehive, which is very recently showcased in World Economic Forum. Veehive.ai, which is part of the World Economic Forum, which is recognized by both the government of Tamil Nadu and government of Andhra Pradesh. So that is about my interaction with the Gulf startup ecosystem. Then going to the US startup ecosystem, I'm also associated with few members. So given this background, still I'm a learner, I'm a researcher, I continuously research startup ecosystems and how. I thought that today the world has to think like a startup. 2020 and beyond, the world has to think like a startup. Now, my research in strategy and innovation suggests that every organization in the world need to be rebooted, which means they have to reinvent themselves. And one of the experts suggests that this economy or this century is going to be defined by startups. So therefore, startup is going to be the engine of growth, economic growth for the world, particularly for India. Why for India? Of course, another very interesting way of looking at the world is this century belongs to Asia. When you look at the history of the world, the first 1,500 years of the world economic history dominated by India and China. And the 17th century, the economic fulcrum, the center of action of the economic activity moved to Europe. So it was an European century. And then 20th century, it further moved to Americas. So it was an American century. And this century, 21st century, is going to be an Asian century. So in this context, the startups are going to lead the world. And already there are a lot of indicators, as Dr. Lakshmi mentioned during her introductory. India is the place where the whole world is looking at India for great opportunities. And a lot of investments are coming in. Of course, there are a lot of challenges, having said that, but a lot of opportunities, because as entrepreneurs, we are always looking at the opportunities and we overcome challenges. So therefore, I thought that let me share some of my thoughts, my understanding. And also, I would like to learn from you all, because some of you, I know, when I asked Dr. Lakshmi who will be the audience, she said students from colleges other than GIBS, Global Institute of Business Studies, as well as faculty members of both GIBS and the outside. So therefore, I thought that let me share my views and also get some feedback from you, so that we can all understand this ecosystem and leverage. When I say leverage, today, the whole world, as we know, there are a lot of trends. Of course, I'm going to share something in my presentation. A lot of trends which are defining the present world. For example, digital economy. Today, the whole world is going to be influenced by digital technologies. And the rate at which the digital technologies are impacting industries, individuals and countries are phenomenal. It's exponential. It's not linear, exponential. So what is happening? So in what way digital is impacting the world? I call it as every human effort fundamentally is about creating value and sharing value. That's all. You look at any human effort, whether individual or an institution or a country or any human effort for that matter, it's all about creating value and sharing value. So these new phenomena like digital technologies, for example, when you take digital technologies, how this is creating value, it unlocks the hidden value. There are a lot of values at every level, at the individual level, at the country level, at the organizational level, which are trapped. We call it as trapped value. So using these technologies, you can unlock those values, by which you can make this world a better place. And also the world is facing a lot of challenges. Particularly one great challenge the whole world is facing is about sustainability, the climate change. So on one side, the world is facing certain challenges. On the other side, there is a great opportunity for unlocking value, right? So who is going to bridge this? The entrepreneurs and the startup founders. So you are going to make this opportunity to create value, to unlock value, right? So this is what we are going to explore. And further to that, what I thought is, let me share something about Gulf region, because I am now presently talking to you from Muscat, which is a beautiful country called Oman. And just for your information, because this may be a great piece of information for some of you, many people say, if you want to come and live in Gulf, Oman is one of the best places. Very peaceful, very, very importantly, the people, lovely people. So Omanis are very lovely people in this part of the world. So Gulf, I'm speaking from Gulf region. So Gulf consists of 6 countries: Oman, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, and UAE, United Arab Emirates. So let me quickly share some of because I'm associated with some parts of Gulf. So let me quickly share some, so what's happening in this part of the world, in the startup ecosystem. And also, I'm trying to explore the possibilities of collaboration. Today, one important thing which every one of us we need to remember is, if we want to grow, we need to collaborate. So collaboration is the name of the game. Whether it is at the individual level, whether you are a student, collaborate with other students. You are a faculty member, collaborate with other faculty members. If you're an institution, collaborate with other institutions. Right? Nations collaborating with other nations. So therefore, there is a very good relationship between India and Gulf. Therefore, we need to explore. Of course, in certain areas, India is far ahead in terms of when you look at through the lens of the startup ecosystem. But in certain areas, they have certain advantages. So let's see, strategy is all about, we have to play with the advantage others have, and collaborate and create and win-win situation, right? So in that context, let's also try to explore what are the possibilities of Indian institutions like GIBS, how they can collaborate with Gulf region. An individual as a student, what are the opportunities, right? And as a country, how India can collaborate with, because as I said, Asian century, so Gulf being part of the Asia, so how to collaborate and grow. So these are some of the things I'm planning to explore, right? So let me share my presentation. So startups ecosystem, that is what today's topic is all about. We have started discussing, and that is our Arab Open. Just a few words about Arab Open University. We are a university present in 9 different countries with 35,000 plus students. We are collaborating with some European universities, particularly Open University UK. So with that, so I'm with the MBA program of that university. So a lot of transformation happening across the world. Before we venture into, let me again, one more thing I want to clarify here, because I've understood, Dr. Lakshmi said there are a lot of students from other institutions and who are looking for opportunities for growth. Now, when we talk about startups and entrepreneurship, you need to understand that it is not only for people who are going to start a business or start an initiative. It is for everyone. Let me clarify. Now, entrepreneurship is a way of life. It is not that, it's a title where you start a business. Entrepreneurship is a way of life. In the sense that everyone need to be entrepreneurial. Everyone need to have entrepreneurial mindset. Whether you are working for somebody or you are going to do something on your own, in both the cases, you need to be entrepreneurial. And today, more organizations, even when they want to employ people, they're looking for people with entrepreneurial bent of mind. So in that sense, right, even some of you don't want to become an entrepreneur who want to continue in your corporate, jobs, still entrepreneurship and understanding startup ecosystem is going to be beneficial to you. And today we are talking about corporate entrepreneurship, right? So every organization needs to think like a startup. So in that sense, even when as an employee, you can contribute. Having said that, let's look at what's happening around us. A lot of transformation happening across the world, which are characterized in different ways. For example, when you look at economies are getting transformed. For example, we talk about gig economy. We talk about circular economy. We talk about blue economy, skill economy, startup economy, which means a lot of transformation happening. As I said, the world is trying to reboot. Another very important thing, markets are transformed. Today, when you look at markets, we talk about the top of the pyramid, the middle of the pyramid, and bottom of the pyramid. There is a lot of churn happening there. So the middle of the pyramid is bulging. And bottom of the pyramid, you need to create, I remember Professor C.K. Prahlad's fortune at the bottom of the pyramid, who created a lot of impact by saying that bottom of the pyramid gives a lot of opportunity, for creating wealth. So when you read the fortune at the bottom of the pyramid, you'll try to understand. So whether it is bottom of the pyramid, middle of the pyramid, top of the pyramid, every section of market are transforming, and hence it creates a lot of new opportunities for startups. Industries are getting transformed, whether it is music industry, entertainment industry, education, healthcare, transportation, right? Everything is getting transformed. Businesses are transforming. Today we are talking about Uberization of businesses, platformification of businesses, right? And individuals are transforming. We are talking about work from home. Post-COVID, we are talking about many, different ways of living and working. So in this world scenario, right, there is a lot of great opportunities for innovation, research, and entrepreneurship. Leads to, startups. Of course, we want, as Dr. Lakshmi mentioned in the beginning, India wants more startups. So when you look at how to create more startups, okay, Now, which is the world's largest startup ecosystem? When you look at that, I started investigating that. One of the recent reports, US, United States of America, is considered as the world's largest startup ecosystem. So as researchers, we try to figure out what makes them the startup ecosystem unique and what we can learn from them, right? So let us look at, we found that they have a great startup ecosystem. So we are going to we are going to just try to understand what is that startup ecosystem consists of, right? How it is measured, so that when we create such startup ecosystem in India and elsewhere, we can also create more economic growth and more. Today, we are not only looking at economic growth, we need to look at 3 P's. In business, we say profit, planet, and people. We need to grow economically, environmentally, sustainably, and socially responsible. So our growth should be balanced growth. So even when you are designing startup, you need to think of this: profit, planet, and people. So when you look at, so what are the drivers of today's transformation? It's climate change, as I mentioned. Social inequity. On one side, we are growing. Other side, the growth between the haves and have-nots is increasing. The economic prosperity is happening in some parts of the world, which leads to new opportunities. Technology, digital technologies, which includes artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain kind of technologies, which are completely redefining or reinventing businesses, which gives great opportunity. Today, we are living in a time where there is a great advantage for startup founders. You know what? Because they don't have any legacy systems. They can start fresh. We call it as digital first. And digital natives, you are all digital natives, young people out there, you're all digital natives. So you have an advantage because you can start fresh with the new technologies so that you don't carry the old baggages. So in that way, startups, they have great advantage over, over traditional companies with years of experience. And finally, as I mentioned, this century is an ancient century, so great opportunities. So what is the need of the hour? Need to reinvent economic models, industry models, and business models. And innovation is the key. Whatever you do, innovation is the core. And startups are the engines of growth. And for more startups and more sustainable startups, startup ecosystem is the key. So that is why we are talking about startup ecosystem today. So having given that introductory framework, so let me look at global startup ecosystem. So let me share with you some of the statistics from a recent report. So arguably, what do you call, without doubt, United States is leading as the #1 startup ecosystem, where India is in 20th rank in the listing, and China is at 10th. Now, why China? We are comparable economies. Of course, China is far ahead, but today the whole world is looking at India-China equation. So from that perspective, China is at 10th and India is in 20th. So we need to do a lot. So one of the ways by which every one of us out there, being a student, you can contribute to the startup ecosystem. Being an educational institution, we can contribute to a startup ecosystem. I really appreciate GIBS for the way the initiatives I'm following. Right? Wonderful. It is really appreciative, which is all leading towards creating a startup ecosystem. And faculty members, we need to contribute. Today we are talking about academic entrepreneurship, where it is not only we motivate students to become entrepreneurs, student entrepreneurs, but also as academics, we can also become an entrepreneur. So here I want to make an appeal to institutions like GIBS. We need to encourage academic members to become entrepreneurs, to start to found their startups within the ecosystem of the institution. We should encourage that. And undoubtedly, Bangalore is first in India as far as what do you call, startup ecosystem is concerned, which is way ahead of New Delhi, right? So let me look at what are the key components of startup ecosystem, so that how we can contribute to the vibrant startup ecosystem. So when you look at in this study, they use three scores. The first one is the quantity score, where they look at the quantity of startups, whether it's number of startups, number of co-working spaces, number of accelerators, number of startup related meetups, right? These are some of the indicators. And quality score is about branches of international companies, number of employees per startup, presence of unicorns, presence of global startup influencers, global startup events. So when you look at these parameters of startup ecosystem, so we can, as I told you, at every level we can contribute. As an individual, we can contribute. As an institution, faculty member, as a city, as a country, we can contribute to these things. And finally, the business environment score, which includes the diversity index, the infrastructure index, R&D investment index, and so on and so forth. So these are different parts of elements of startup ecosystem. So to have a vibrant startup economy, we need to have a vibrant startup ecosystem. So everyone, we have a role to play. So let me just focus on the higher education institutions. Higher education institutions are engines of economic growth. We can visualize higher education institutions as platform ecosystems. One of the perspective of looking at our business schools and higher education institution is looking at it as a platform where different members come, collaborate, create value, and share value. So that is the kind of perspective we need to take. The higher education institutions in India need to take. Of course, GIBS is leading in that. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just talking to the entire Indian, higher education institutions. So we need to be cognizant. Of course, Government of India has come out with a lot of policies, from Startup India to Stand Up India to Make in India. There are a lot of initiatives. Even recently, I'm associated with Crescent Innovation and Incubation Council from Chennai. We were invited to Ahmedabad, where our Prime Minister was part of the program. So there are a lot of initiatives across India for creating this vibrant ecosystem where higher education institutions need to leverage that. So college campuses are the ideal place to cultivate an entrepreneurial ecosystem. As I mentioned, it is not just starting a business, it is a mindset. Creating that mindset. I always say, as startup founders, right? Many people, startup founders, when I work with them, they say we lack resources. Let me give you a perspective. If you are a shrewd, innovative, creative entrepreneur and a startup founder, the entire world is yours. I can give you an example. When Apple was struggling, the great founder of Apple, Steve Jobs, went to his arch rival, Microsoft's Bill Gates, and raised $50 million for Apple to reinvent Apple. This happened during the 2000s. So imagine, as an entrepreneur, you go to your arch rival and convince him to get $50 million. That's real entrepreneurship. That's what I say. As entrepreneurs, the whole world's resource is yours. You should know how to ask it. You should know how to leverage it. You should know how to what should I say, put that into use. It is not that you're going to own. You're going to put that into use and create value and share that. So that is what we call it as entrepreneurial mindset, right? And today's modern campuses are asset-rich environments. Look at GIBS. You have wonderful environment, wonderful infrastructure, wonderful people all around you, faculty members, fellow students. So GIBS is putting a lot of effort to bring the best students to the campus. GIBS is putting best efforts to bring good faculty members to the campus. Leverage it. It's all yours, right? So when you are in GIBS, like you are with 500, 600 students or 1,000 students with hundreds of faculty members. So if you have the right business model, you can leverage all of them and create value. And it has got labs, wonderful labs for doing research, talented human resource, right? So as a shrewd entrepreneur, you need to think that every resource is mine. I cannot own it, but I can use it positively. I can use it not in the negative sense, in the positive sense, where using that resource, I can create value and share value. So that should be the mindset. Of course, as HEIs, we need to embed entrepreneurial courses within the curriculum. So this is one of the recommendations by Wadhwani Foundation. We all know Wadhwani Foundation is one of the leading entrepreneurship ecosystem builder in India. So we need to have an on-campus incubator and accelerator programs, right? And again, one more suggestion is to create a lot of innovation challenges and competitions. I hope GIBS is doing that. And also, I recommend all these to all higher education institutions. Okay, let me share with you one recent study done by published in the recent journals about how an university or a higher education institution in this case can be more entrepreneurial. And the case is Aalto University from Finland. And why Finland? Finland is in the top 10, 12 startup ecosystems in the world. So therefore I thought that let me share some of their experiences so that it is. And today, Aalto University has created a situation where they've created a world-class event called Slush. The whole world is looking at. So look at that. The whole world converges to Aalto University and celebrates entrepreneurship. So this is what we call it as creating a platform of trust, right? So people go believe that there will be some value for me, go converge and then create value and share value. So platform of trust, where human individuals and social groups come, learn, collide with each other, create value and share value. Then they created they looked at Aalto University as a platform ecosystem. As I said, it is a platform where people can come, cross-pollinate ideas, recombine assets, design and new standards, and then they can create value and share value. So we need to visualize the campus as a platform. Like Alibaba is a platform, right? Alibaba is a platform where people come. They don't buy or sell, but they create an environment where people come, transact, create value and share some value with Alibaba and go. So today Alibaba is one of the great corporations. So this kind of mindset, this is called platformification of businesses. This kind of mindset we need to develop. So let me just quickly, share some of my views about Gulf startup ecosystem. Now, Gulf startup ecosystem is not that it's not comparable with India, because India is on the 20th rank. Gulf is little below. But as I said, in certain areas, certain pockets of Gulf startup ecosystem are more vibrant. For example, when you look at UAE, United Arab Emirates, it is, see, again, one more thing. As a strategy person, I want to suggest one more thing. Whenever you are strategizing for your organization, whether it is an existing organization or a startup, always you need to align your interest. Align your interest with your stakeholders. So when you are creating your startup, think about what is the vision of the country. For example, when you want to collaborate with UAE, you need to understand the vision of UAE. The vision of United Arab Emirates is they want to be the fintech city of the world. They want to compete with Hong Kong. So today, anything about fintech, Dubai is welcoming. United Arab Emirates is welcoming. Abu Dhabi is welcoming. Right? And one more very important, interesting thing happening in UAE is veg tech. We call it as veggie tech, in the sense that how to create modern vegetations. Because as you all know, they have resource scarcity in terms of water, in terms of soil, and so on and so forth. So how to grow vertical farming. So you have to understand the issues of the country, their vision. So you need to read their vision statements. And then align if you're thinking your idea is aligned with that, then you can leverage them for your advantage. Right? So when you look at these are the 6 countries: Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Oman, Kuwait. These are the 6 important countries in the Gulf region, where when you look at the headlines, all of them, every country puts its bit of effort to have a vibrant startup ecosystem. As I said, I'm associated with a company called Veehive .ai. We are in Web 3.0 space. We want to disrupt, short form video technology. So we are working on that, and our product is out there. You can go and test it. So when you just as I mentioned, Saudi Arabia. Now Saudi Arabia is a very vibrant ecosystem today. Once upon a time, Saudi Arabia is considered as very conservative country in terms of open to the world. But today, Mohammed bin Salman, you might have heard of Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the key person in Saudi Arabia, is opening up Saudi Arabia to a greater extent. Of course, not recently, few years back, they have come out with a Lion City, Neom City. So they are also very innovative in thinking. So try to understand. So my call to all of you out there is, if you want to if you want to collaborate with Gulf startup ecosystem, try to understand the vision of each country. Each country, they have come out with vision 2030, 2040, right? So they have their vision. So try to understand their vision and try to find out whether there is any alignment, because strategy is all about aligning your vision with your stakeholders' vision, so that it gets more energy and you get more traction, you get more support from the stakeholders. So with that, let me wish you all the very best in all possible ways, and wish you, some of you are already startup founders. I wish you all the best, and Gulf can support you. And those who are students, this is a great opportunity for you all. You are in a time where we envy you, because the opportunities are around your doorstep. India is going to be a global superpower, and which is going to be powered by startups, right? Which means government of India is going to provide a lot of support systems. And you are living in a city which is considered as one of the hotbeds of startup ecosystems in the world, right? So all the things are very positive energy happening, positive things happening around you. So leverage it, right? Wish you all the very best. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really wonderful and thought-provoking. Here, I just wanted to share a few lines about our IRE school, since you spoke a lot about startups, right? So in GIBS also, we have a program called as Innovation, Research and Entrepreneurship, which will be there for the first year of PGDM students. So we help the students to start with idea generation, screening, and they end up submitting a prototype as their final this thing. So at GIBS also, we encourage a lot of students to pursue their entrepreneurial journey, and we believe it's not only to be entrepreneurs. People who want to really become or get into corporate also, they should really have entrepreneurial skills. So we have imbibed in it, and taking a baby step towards to promote more entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship at GIBS for the country. So it was really an amazing session, I must say this, Kabaly sir, as always, right? Whenever I talk to you, I learn something new, right? It was really a great opportunity to listen from you thoroughly and understand what is the startup ecosystem is all about. So I really thank wholeheartedly. Before that, I have few questions in the chat box. If you can take up one by one, I'll just help you with the questions.
Thank you, Dr. Lakshmi. Before, as you rightly, I want to underline that entrepreneurship is a mindset. As you rightly mentioned, either you are an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, right? For any growth, for your professional growth, you need to be either an entrepreneur or be an intrapreneur.
Right.
Thank you. All the best.
Yes, sir. There is a question by Revati R. She's asking, what will the startup ecosystem in India look like by 2025?
Great. So that is what, and already we are, the ranks are encouraging. We are 20th place across the globe, right? Indian startup ecosystem. So the way in which it moves by 2025, we will be in the top 10. We wish to be in the top 10, and there are a lot of indicators towards that. So you are in a great time in the history of India.
Great, sir. There's another question by Pragya. She's asking, what considerations contribute to an effective startup ecosystem?
That's what, I mentioned, in terms of quantity, in terms of quality, in terms of business environment. So these are the three parameters, mainly look at. Of course, in the various institutions, they measure startup ecosystem in different ways. But when you look at the sub parameters, it all say, right? So we need to have a right investment ecosystem. We need to have the right incubator ecosystem and accelerator ecosystem. We need to have the right, support systems like universities and colleges, right?
Great.
We need to have the right policies from the government. Of course, we have great policies from the government. So together, it constitutes the startup ecosystem.
Great, sir. There's another question by Rajiv. He's asking, do you think Indian startup ecosystem is little lagging compared to other nations in the world?
When compared, comparably, we always compare people across the world, compare with China. Certainly, China is far ahead, right? Particularly in terms of digital startups, they are far ahead. A classic example is Alibaba, right? Alibaba is a great example of how digital technologies can empower global corporations, right? Which is once a startup, today it's a global corporation. Okay. So in digital technologies, we are lagging, but it is our responsibility. That is why we make a call. That is why GIBS is organizing such yes. events, right? So it's all our responsibility. That's why I said right in the beginning, even at an individual level, even when you organize a small startup meetup, you are participating in the startup ecosystem, right? You are contributing to the startup ecosystem, right? In the villages, in the cities, in your communities, right? And here I want to make very interesting observation from Elon Musk. Elon Musk always says, right? Like baby showers, when there is a new baby going to come in the family, we celebrate, we go, we give gifts, right? So he says similar event should happen for when somebody starts a company.
Right.
When somebody starts a company, we should celebrate.
Yeah.
Right. We should go greet him, celebrate and give them some gifts which can be useful for that kind of culture we need to build. So one of the thing which we, according to me, we need to improve is the culture, because entrepreneurship is all about fear and failure.
Right.
Right. Why people are not taking up entrepreneurship? Because fear of failure. Right. So once the society starts celebrating the failure, it's a positive failure. Right. So if somebody says I have never failed in my life, which means that they have never tried anything. Right. So if somebody is trying and failing, you know what? Even in Google, the corporate philosophy of Google is fail fast, fail safe. They say don't fail. They are not saying don't fail. Fail, but fail fast and fail safe.
Great, sir.
So therefore, we should celebrate failures. So if we create that culture, so you and me can be part of that culture, creating that culture, right? Yeah. So when you see an entrepreneur, you just first wish them, congratulate them, and have give them some gift, a small gift. Right? So that will encourage entrepreneurship, and that will create a entrepreneurial culture in our society. Great. That's very important. So that is one thing we need to do to be more competitive.
Right. So there's a question by Sanam. She's asking, what is that something lacking in Bangalore's digital ecosystem that might aid become more competitive in the global market?
Great. So here, as you are from Bangalore, you need to tell me. But from outside perspective, Bangalore is doing great. Of course, globally, comparably, the immediate comparison among the cities. When you're comparing among the cities, Bangalore ecosystem can be compared with Silicon Valley or New York, because in US there are two important, cities which are thriving with startups, which is Silicon Valley, and so we can learn a lot from them. Of course, there are a lot of things improving in our cities also. So in terms of digital technologies, yes, there are a lot of initiatives. So here it is. I always say from a strategy perspective. Let me give you one perspective here. I believe that it is not the technology which creates value. Please make my statement. You can write and read. You will make a lot of sense. It is not the technology which creates value. It is how creatively and innovatively you deploy technologies create value. You got my point? So it is not that blockchain is available for Silicon Valley for New York and for Bangalore, right? So who is going to win the race is the people who are going to deploy this blockchain, right? Which in more creative and innovative ways and strategic ways to create value. So that is where, we have to, so therefore we need to train our people, right? In terms of creative thinking, innovative thinking, systems thinking, right? So I always say, see, one more point I want to share here. I want to share with you here. Many of the startup founders, they are technically very sound. They are great and their understanding of blockchain is great. Their understanding of artificial intelligence is great. But when it comes to startups, it's a combination of technology, your technology expertise and business expertise. So that is where you need to invest a lot of time and effort, or you need to collaborate with the right co-founders, right? That is where the strategy comes in. That is where the creative and innovative use of technology comes in. So it is not just creating a value. It's a whole value ecosystem, right?
Yes, sir.
So that has to be leveraged only by people. So develop people.
Great.
Thank you very much.
A last question from my end. These young budding entrepreneurs, they get disappointed very soon, right? If there is a failure, because as I understand, you have to do this trial and error, and you have to understand whether this idea is going to work or not. Though you do a lot of screening, use a lot of technical things in that and screen, but still there is a failure that we see in the market. That's something that they fail to understand. See, what are the, tips that you want to give it to the young entrepreneurs who are really wanting to pursue their career as an entrepreneur?
Fantastic, fantastic. The one very important thing is your resilience, your never give up mindset. You look at any entrepreneur, any successful entrepreneur, you're looking at their success today. But when you just go and look at the history of their life, right, you'll find that many of them, they are not successful in their first venture, which means persistence, continuous, efforts, right? Even that is what, that is where, a society can support you. Like failure, even if you fail, people are there. See, one of the reasons why American ecosystem is thriving, let us look at from that lens, is they have the policies, right? The right policies. Even somebody fails, right, they are not penalized. But in India, when as a founder, if you are failing, there are a lot of penalties. So people have fear. So that is from the policy perspective. But as an individual perspective, you should tell yourself that, right? See, the very concept of startup is not a company. It is a company in the making. As you rightly mentioned during asking this question, right? It is, you are continuously, you need to experiment. For example, when you take Veehive as an example, we started a year ago with a concept, short form video. But today we are integrating Web 3.0. So it's complete evolution. It is continuously evolution. Even we are struggling now. For example, we are looking for the next round of investments. Investments are not coming in, right? So always, I'm very appreciative of my the founder of Veehive, Mr. Satish. Every time, he is a very positive person, right? So this kind of positive mindset, you have to be with the right mentors. You have to be with the right people, because there are a lot of people support. That is where the support system, ecosystem comes in, right? You are not alone. Don't think that you are alone. There are great mentors. They are ready to support you, right? Only thing, you need to connect. So one of the important thing in innovation is networking. You need to have a great network, so that even when you are struggling, there will be some helping hand. From, you may not know where from you will get, right? So be in the right ecosystem, you will thrive.
Thank you so much. I think I completely visualized what you said, and it was much needed for the budding entrepreneurs or students or anyone for that matter who wants to pursue their career in entrepreneurship. I think there is much, I know that there is much more to learn from you. So hoping to have more sessions from you. To all the participants, this session is available on YouTube. You can click onto the YouTube link and look for the recording. The entire recording of the session will be available, and the participation certificate for the same will be received on or before 11th July 2022. And we have a series of webinars that we have scheduled for this month as well. We have an upcoming webinar by Robert Bell, who is a CEO of Graydon Lloyd. He will be talking all the way from United Kingdom. That's scheduled on the next week. And then we have a design thinking session by Dr. Pawan Soni at the end of this month. So the schedule of the same will be shared with you to the registered email ID. And please follow us on the social media platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Telegram, Instagram, Facebook. And you can also visit GIBS and experience the state of art. Kabaly sir, whenever you're there in India, also please do visit GIBS so that we can meet in person. Thank you so much for such a wonderful session, sir. Looking forward for more such sessions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Lakshmi. Thank you for the invitation, and I really thank GIBS and its management for hosting us. Wonderful. Sure. Thank you very much for the invitation. Whenever possible, we will meet in campus. We'll exchange views. All the very best to all the faculty members and students of GIBS and other institutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Have a nice day.
You too, sir. Thank you, sir.